Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching the Arkansas Gun Guy. Today, another in the video series I like to call gun comparisons that no one on the internet's looking for, and that's why I'm not rich. As I look at Sig Sauer's P229 /228 M11A1, Sig 229 versus H&K's USP Compact. Two fantastic carry guns, compact carry guns from the 90s, early 2000s that, are they still relevant today? I thought I'd take a look at them side by side. As I always, love to hear from you guys. Are you familiar with these guns, both of them? I'd love to hear your thoughts on them as well. The reason I'm doing this video is a friend of mine let me borrow his USP Compact for another video, and while I had it, it made me think about the 229. Both of these guns originated in the late 90s as smaller versions of their big brother counterparts. The USP full-size was so popular, they later made a smaller version called the Compact. And Sig Sauer's famous 226, the Navy SEAL gun, also was so popular, they designed a smaller version called the 228 initially, and that was enlisted for carry amongst government services, I think most famously the Air Marshals, and it was tagged the M11 at that point in time. Later evolved to the 229, I'll talk about that in a second. But it just got me thinking, these awesome carry guns were designed over 30 years ago, and there's so many fantastic guns out now. Are these still really good guns? And I think they are, spoiler alert, but I thought I'd take a look at them side by side because they have a lot of really cool features that you may not know about or maybe hadn't thought about. So again, this is an original OG model from the late 90s. This has H&K's date code KK, which means this was produced in 1999. So at the very end of the century there, and then, or the decade rather. And then this is a newer Sig 229 M11A1. I guess I'll start there. This gun came first, and the 226 gun is the full-size version. It looks just like this. Actually, it looks just like this. And it is a metal frame gun with a decocker on the side, hammer fire, double action, single action. But this is the compact version. Originally, the 228 was just a smaller version of the 226, chambered in 9mm. Later on, Sig Sauer developed the 229, which looked exactly the same, but was more beefed up inside to handle the higher pressures of the 40 Smith & Wesson and, most importantly, the 357 Sig caliber. Caliber they developed, and I believe the 229 was the first gun ever chambered in 357 Sig. Eventually, there was no reason to keep the 228 moniker. They just called everything 229 and made it available in 357 Sig, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 9mm. That's how you get to the 229. Again, a carry gun descended from a full-size gun that's available in multiple calibers. Well, similar story for the USP. Again, this is a descendant of the full-size USP. I don't have one of those here, but the full-size USP, I think, is maybe the most important gun H&K's ever made. It was also available in multiple calibers. It actually started as a project chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson, and around that they built a 9mm version, a 45 ACP version, and then I think eventually in the carry size, even 357 Sig. So again, both of these smaller frame firearms that were popular carry guns in the late 90s, early 2000s, were available in multiple calibers, which I thought was very interesting. So they're both, again, double action, single action, both with, I would say, duty type triggers, nothing especially fancy in there. They're reliable, they are safe, they're not like crazy target triggers. Although this 229 does have Sig's short reset trigger in there. I'll talk with that in another video later. But size-wise, they're pretty much identical. Lengthwise, I don't have the exact specs here, but if you look them end to end, a bit more of a beaver tail here on the Sig versus, not as much of a back on this one. Height-wise, they're pretty much the same. The Sig is slightly taller. Again, this is a newer 229 variation. I think they both were originally available in 13-round capacity in 9mm. This example is a 40 Smith & Wesson, mind you. But the H&K did have to have kind of the pinky extender here where you had more of a full grip on the Sig. One small difference. Now, another big difference in the two is just the modularity. Well, I talked about them both being available in multiple configurations, or multiple calibers rather, which is very cool. Not a lot of guns do today. They're also They both are, again, hammer fire, double action, single action with decockers. Sig's decocker is the iconic lever here on the side where you cock the pistol and you can decock it from here. Note there's no external safety. So you got a double action, single action pistol with a decocker, and that heavy double action pull is your safety. That is my preferred method, but H&K did it one better. They also have a decocker on their pistol. Again, you can cock the firearm here. This is a bobbed hammer. They did that. This lever on the side allows you to decock the firearm, but it also allows you to carry it with the safety on if you choose. So you have already the safety of a double action, single action trigger, but you can also enhance that if you want with a safety as well. So you can sweep off the safety and have a double action pull. And this gun was much more configurable, where right now it's set up for a right-hander. This is probably a V1. On the V2, they gave you the exact same setup. Note the white line here, but they put it on the left-hand side. So right-handers, left-handers, there's variations with safeties only, with decockers only, and even a fancy LEM, law enforcement modification trigger system. So this gun is actually quite a bit more modular than the 229. Again, polymer frame versus metal frame. You would think that a metal frame is maybe more durable or reliable, but I don't know if that's the case because this USP and the polymer here has been tested maybe more than any other firearm on the planet for reliability and enduring all sorts of weather and any circumstances. So I think this one is just as reliable as this one. So both very reliable guns available in multiple configurations, multiple chamberings rather. Both have military pedigrees. Both were the carry guns of the 90s. Today, guns are smaller with similar capacity and not quite as fat. Both these guns are rather fat for carry today, but I still think that they're really awesome 30 years later. My humble opinion, again, would love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on the Sig 229 or the H&K USP Compact? As always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing. Appreciate you stopping by.